Welcome to the Fibromyalgia Podcast. I'm Tami, fibromyalgia coach, author, and founder of the International Fibromyalgia Coaching Institute. The goal of this podcast is to empower you with access to the dream team of experts and coaches I've discovered are key to living the fibro life you love. From the comfort of your own home, and maybe even your pajamas, I'll help you take back control of your life and health. To help out with fibro fog, I always include full show notes and additional resources at fibromyalgiapodcast.com. Welcome to the Fibromyalgia Podcast. I'm your coach, Tami, and this is episode 82. Today, I wanted to let you know that I'm quitting. I quit frequently, to be honest, and in fact, I would consider quitting strategically to be one of the keys to my success, and it's definitely a key in keeping my fibromyalgia in remission. Now, before I go on any further, I want to let you know that when I say I quit, I really just mean right now, for the moment. I don't mean forever. So you can put your heart back in your chest. No, the podcast isn't quitting. No, I am not stopping being a coach. But strategically quitting, sometimes for the day, sometimes for the weekend, sometimes for an hour or two, really is one of the keys to my sanity. So why am I talking about this today? This could be something I could have told you about on any podcast episode. So why episode 82 that comes out on May 10th? Honestly, it's because of Fibromyalgia Awareness Day. If you aren't aware, Fibromyalgia Awareness Day happens on May 12th every year. That day was chosen because it is Florence Nightingale's birthday, and we see some evidence in her writings and in stories about her that perhaps she had fibromyalgia. Now, Fibromyalgia Awareness Day is important. I don't want to make light of that. I see so many people out there who sort of crank up the heat come May and do all of this extra work for May. And this year, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I do fibromyalgia awareness literally every day of my life. It doesn't matter where I am, who I'm talking to, I am always about this work. If you're following this podcast, or if you're following my Facebook page, if you read any of my books, you know that this is basically my whole life. I am already doing it with the heat turned up all the way. I just can't find any more in me this year, this month. Now, if that's you, this episode is for you. And this episode isn't just for May 2022. This episode is for when you're facing the holidays and you just can't do anymore. Or those days when you are just done with dealing with your illness, with fighting with doctors, and everything else you have to do. Chris Carr says in the trailer for her movie, Crazy Sexy Cancer, she talks about, you are always at the office of healing. This is a full-time job. There are no vacations. And sometimes you just have to quit. You just have to quit. You have to be able to set it aside for the day, for the week, for the weekend even. And this can be a huge key to your sanity. So if you are sitting there and feeling like it's all just too much, you can't find it within you, know that that's okay. I recently read something about how as a society, we sort of defined success as being something that you do forever. And so what that means is, if I'm a fibromyalgia coach, in order to be considered a, quote, success, according to what we've decided upon as a society, that means I have to do this forever. And there are days when I don't want to. There are days when I would rather do other things with my time. As much as I love my job, as much as I love working with clients and helping them get the care and the understanding that they need, It's still just a piece of me. And sometimes it feels like that just takes over all of me. And so in order to find that balance back, sometimes I have to quit. And I will quit for the weekend, for the evening, for the day, and can come back fresh again. So today I am quitting. After I finish and hit stop on the record here, I will quit for the rest of the day. I will enjoy the evening with my husband. We'll probably play video games or watch TV or go see a movie or something. And then tomorrow I will come back and I will be fresh and I will be restored and I'll be able to help my clients and teach my classes from a place of being refreshed and being whole. So I wanted to share that with you because I think so often we feel like it's all or nothing. We're either doing all we can, we have to go 110%, or we're failing, or we're not doing enough, especially those of us who really, really care about the people that we love and care about the people who are suffering. If you are a fibromyalgia advocate, you have a heart for all those millions of people out there who are alone and suffering and frustrated. And that is a heavy burden to bear. And you can't carry it all the time. At some point, you have to set that down. You have to let it go. You have to quit and take a rest so that you can pick that back up. Now, if we're talking about your own fibromyalgia journey, I've had several of these conversations in the last couple of weeks. People who've just been working on this for years, decades even, who have dealt with pain and fatigue and fibromyalgia and struggling with doctors and trying to find answers. If that's you, it's okay to quit that too. Just don't quit forever. You have to have a break. It's okay to ask for help. Reach out to somebody for some new ideas, for some support. You cannot do this alone. And please use us as a resource if you have to. Use my voice in your ear on the podcast to keep you motivated and keep you positive and keep you hopeful. Reach out and schedule a consultation with me or one of my certified fibromyalgia coaches. We would love to help you and we can give you some new ideas. But don't be afraid to quit for the day, for the weekend, and do all the things you shouldn't do. You may realize that some of those things aren't worth it, right? I talk to people all the time who are like, oh, yeah, it wasn't worth it to have that gluten, or it wasn't worth it to stay up all night. And so sometimes we have to do that. But at the same time, it's okay to do that as an exception to your rule, to take it as a vacation, as a break, so that you can get your perspective back, or maybe even just simply remind yourself why it is that you're doing all of these things that you're doing. So for this episode, after telling you all the reasons why I quit, I also want to tell you about all the awesome things that are happening for Awareness Day, for Fibromyalgia Awareness. There are lots of Awareness Day events that happen every year. As this comes out, several have already taken place, but there's still some coming up. Support Fibromyalgia Network has a great Awareness Day and Advocacy Day events planned, so you can check those out. And of course, there's lots of advocacy that's happening year-round. I'll just share some of the things that I've been involved with, but there are so many more. OHSU, Oregon Health and Science University, at their medical school, they have a 2-week class that's called a pain intercession, and it is all about teaching their med students really to understand chronic pain. It's sort of a deep dive into chronic pain awareness, not just fibromyalgia, that's a piece of it, but other things related to chronic pain. And I have the privilege of being part of that class. I get to go speak to their medical students 3 times a year during each of their terms. We do this pain panel, and it's me and several other people, and we just share what life is really like living with chronic pain and what doctors can do better. The students ask so many amazing questions, things like, what were some bad experiences that you had, and how could the doctor have handled that differently? Or how would you like a doctor to handle this? They ask lots of really great questions and get a chance to hear from actual patients who are dealing with this every day, not just instructors who are trying to instruct them. So the OHSU pain intercession is one of the things that gives me so much hope for the future, that our future doctors are really going to be better equipped and better understand what we go through and how to help us. Another exciting thing that's happening right now is 2 documentaries that I've been part of. One is already out and one is coming out. So Invisible is not out quite yet. As I record this, we are in the process of sending that off to different film festivals. And just keep listening to the podcast. I will let you know where and when it becomes available. We will have it available for the community to watch at some point this year during 2022. What you can do to help support this and to help make it happen is go to the Invisible website. That sounds funny. Go to the website for the film Invisible, which we will have a link on today's show notes, and you'll be able to register and to be notified when there's a showing in your area. So today's show notes, just go to fibromyalgiapodcast.com/82, and we'll have the link where you can register to host a showing or to be notified when there is a showing of Invisible in your area. I had a chance to watch the final cut of this film recently, and it was amazing. It was so, so good. They do such a great job of showing the full spectrum of fibromyalgia. Really, really active and functional people with fibromyalgia and people who are incredibly disabled. There are several doctors. We hear the conflicting information that sometimes happens coming from the medical community around fibromyalgia. And you will even see me do a fibromyalgia coaching session in the film. It's a really great film. I cannot wait until you can see it. So for right now, what we really need you to do is go to that website and sign up to let them know you want to see the film. This will actually help them when they meet with distributors to show them, hey, look, we've got all these people who want to watch the film in Norway, or we want to watch the film in New Zealand, or want to watch the film in Colorado, wherever it is. Definitely go fill that out. Have all your friends fill it out. The more we have, the better we can share that with distributors to get the information out and for you to be able to see it. I can tell you at some point, I promise, I do not know when, where, or how, but at some point we will have a screening in Portland, Oregon, because there's so many of us in the film that are from there, the fibromyalgia community in Portland. But do still please fill that out. Even if you're in Portland, please fill out that screening. Again, just go to fibromyalgiapodcast.com/82, and we'll have the link there where you can sign up to have a screening in your area, a screening of Invisible. The second documentary that is already out is called Pain Warriors. And this is a film that features one of my clients, Sherry Little. This film has won several awards. It is available on Amazon Prime, and it really focuses in on the challenges that chronic pain patients have, especially right now with all the stuff that's going around with opioids. The opioid guidelines, prescribing guidelines, the fact that it's so hard for patients to get pain medication, and really highlights Sherry's story. Now, speaking of Sherry, the Sherry Little Foundation, which was formed in her honor, that is a nonprofit that I started. We are looking to give our first grants soon. So if you would like to sign up to be notified when the application window opens, the whole purpose of this foundation is to give micro grants, so grants of $1,000 or less, to chronic pain patients with limited financial resources. That is specifically what Sherry wanted this foundation to do. And as part of that, we are going to need a grant selection committee. So if you are interested in being part of the grant selection committee, that means the person who's reading through the applications and helping us decide who receives the grants. We are looking for people to be part of that committee. Of course, you can't be on the committee and apply for a grant, so it's one or the other. But if you are interested in being part of that grant selection committee, I would love to hear from you. You can actually do that through the podcast. If you go to fibromyalgiapodcast.com/82 for today's show notes, there will be a link there to the Sherry Little Foundation website where you can reach out and let us know you're interested in being part of that grant selection committee. The last thing I wanted to share with you as far as exciting things coming up in the fibromyalgia world, that is I am releasing the second edition of my book, Take Back Your Life. This is my first book that I wrote way back in 2015. Many of you, I know, have downloaded a copy of that for free from our podcast website. Now I am updating that. So the new edition will be out on May 26th. I have added a chapter on brain fog, on how to deal with and treat brain fog. I've updated a lot of the science in there. I've updated the supplements. I have updated a lot of my story because, of course, a lot has changed for me in 7 years. And when we do our next episode, I'll have more details that'll come out right before the book does. So I'll be able to give you a lot more specifics on how you can get a copy and all the other goodies surrounding that. So just mark that on your calendar. The new edition comes out May 26th, and you'll be able to get a copy of that here through the podcast, and it'll definitely be available on Amazon, but more details on that to come. So wrapping things up, quitting is such a key skill. Being able to set things down and walk away, whether it's temporarily or permanently. You need to be able to know when something isn't right for you, whether it's not right ever at all, right? It's just not a good fit, period, end of story, or whether it's not a good fit right now. It is absolutely okay to say no to something right now, knowing that it might be a yes later. That's totally fine. So take that, embrace that, think about the things that you maybe can quit as you are listening to this episode. What are some things that you can quit? What are the things that are no longer serving you, or the things that feel like too much, or the things that you just feel like you just don't have space for? It is absolutely okay to quit those. And of course, if you ever want to talk to somebody, just go to findafibrocoach.com. We would love to be a sounding board for you and to help you kind of figure out what those things are that you need to let go. Lastly, of course, I have this week's shout out for you. And this one isn't actually from a listener, but because I talked about the OHSU pain intercession class earlier, I wanted to share this email that I received from one of the doctors that helps to facilitate that class for their medical students. After the last panel discussion, all of us who participated in the panel received this email. She said, "Just wanted to let you know that a medical student who attended the patient panel wrote to me this week to say she was really inspired to make changes to our healthcare system to improve the diagnosis and care of chronic pain after she heard your stories. She wants to do a research project on this. Thank you so much for being a part of the change process to improve care." Now, I share this with you because, as I said earlier, this pain intercession class, particularly the patient panel that I'm part of, really gives me hope for the future. We really are changing the future of medicine and changing the future for how pain patients will be thought of and will be taken care of. So if you ever have a bad doctor experience, know that there are people out there who are being trained differently and who will be responding differently. So I'll leave you with that little bit of hope that our future doctors are learning new and better ways to take care of patients with chronic pain and are understanding us a little bit more. Even if they don't have their own personal experience, these future doctors are being taught differently in school. So there's hope. See you back here next time. And that wraps up another episode of the Fibromyalgia Podcast. I'm your coach, Tami Stacklehouse. For daily doses of hope, inspiration, and practical advice, come hang out with me on Facebook. Visit facebook.com/fibrocoach to find my personal coaching page and connect with me directly. To find the show notes, additional resources, or to schedule a consultation with me or one of my coaches, visit fibromyalgiapodcast.com.